was some beautiful scatting at the end, wasn't it? In key. Sounded so much like Aretha Franklin. Anyway, that was Ahmad Bear with the Wax's Podcast jingle. This is Wax's Podcast episode. I don't know what episode it is. What is it, 159 or 160? Is it almost a 160? Is that enough for you? Is that enough episodes? Fucking 160? 160 goddamn episodes? 160 motherfucking episodes. I just had the thought yesterday. I saw a guy in a plumbing shirt. And when I see somebody in a plumbing shirt, I always say plumbing and electrical. Because that's always that last step in the process. Yeah, you can build a frame. And you got to get somebody to do plumbing and electrical. Did you know that if you talk in enough of a Marylandy redneck accent, that the words plumbing and electrical and the name Carmen Electra can actually be the same words? Like if you talk like this, you say, God damn, man, we just got to get some plumbing and electrical. Yeah, we almost finished with the house. We did the house frame. We didn't get plumbing electrical. Yeah, we got to do plumbing electrical. Yeah, man. Yeah. I remember back in the day, Pamela Anderson, Carmen Electrical, Carmen Electric, Plumbing Electrical, Carmen Electric, Plumbing Electrical, Carmen Electric, Plumbing Electrical. Sounds kind of the same. Reminds me of the story I'm sure I've told on the podcast before, of when I used to work at a nursery, a place that sold plants in southern Maryland, and mulch, and they also sold fresh vegetables, and they sold corn. And the redneck guy came in, and he was asking, it was in Calvert County. In Maryland, people go by what county they're from, and this was Calvert County, and he was asking if the product, which was corn, was Calvert County corn. Like, as in, like, is this shipped in from the Eastern Shore, or is this grown locally right here in Calvert County? And this man was able to say the phrase Calvert County corn by saying three of the same syllables. This Calvert corn? Car. Is it car? Anyway, I apologize. This is going to be a rough episode for y'all. This is going to be a rough one for you guys. If you guys want to if you guys are looking for pleasant, if you guys are looking for soothing, if you guys are looking for a relaxing, vibey voice without any heavy breathing and fucking throat clearing, you're going to have a tough one today because I don't know what it is, man, but I got a bitch-ass immune system. I got a base, B-A-I-S, base. I got a bitch-ass immune system. I'm always fucking sick. I'm not smoking. I'm not drinking. I'm getting plenty of sleep. I think I'm getting too much sleep. I remember one time on tour, I was sick, and I was like, I'm just going to sleep this off, and I slept it off in a hotel room, and I woke up 1,000 times sicker. This was in Atlanta on the Wintervention tour. And like I could barely fucking talk. I was just miserable. You know you're fucking sick when it's like flu/cold symptoms and you have to go to the doctor. But I told him what happened, and the doctor was like, look, that was like the worst thing you could do. To sleep for 15 hours in a dry hotel room. It's the worst thing you can do. So I think I've been getting too much sleep. I've been living clean for 3 weeks. But I fucking sleep too much. I sleep for like 9 or 10 hours every night. I don't have a real job. Maybe I'm depressed. People keep saying, are you depressed? Because when you're depressed, you sleep more. I don't know. Maybe. I don't fucking know. Am I? You tell me. Yeah, you tell me. Am I pleasant to be around? Do you enjoy listening to me, or do I talk too much about the darkness? Do I make too many references to loneliness? I don't know. You tell fucking me. But yeah, I did have a great Thanksgiving. Did y'all? I had an amazing Thanksgiving. Went down and celebrated with friends and family. I didn't drink a lick of alcohol. Just hung out with kids. Watched some kids' movies. Spent hours swinging on a hammock. Shout out to my friends Liz and Dave and their son James. 'Twas their house, 'twere I chilled, with my brother and his wife and their kids, some other kids, new friends, both child and adult, were made. Turkey, stuffing, gravy. My brother made a homemade sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie, topped off by home whipped whipped cream, self-whipped. Self-whipped whipped cream has that consistency of like the shaving cream that the barbers use on the back of your neck. And I would know, I've been going to a barber recently. I tell you all that. Are you so fucking interested in it? Are you dying to know how I get my head shaved? I haven't grown my hair out in at least 10 years. And I always shave my head myself. I mean, how hard is it? You just go, it's pretty easy to do. But now, recently, there's a barbershop nearby my house called Manny's Barbershop. And I decided to treat myself one day, and I went in there and got a fucking haircut. So let me get the let me get a number one all around. They love it when I come in there. They're like, this is the easiest fucking hair. You can't fuck this up. I guess you could, because the reason it looks good when you go to the barbershop, like I'll get my head shaved at the barbershop, and people be like, yo, did you do something different? What's up with your hair? Your hair looks great. You wouldn't realize it, but you know, it makes a difference when they like put lines on the back and on the sides. This is how black dudes feel. You know, black dudes that keep their hair short and get their hair cut once a week. I don't know anything. Non-black people, whether white or Latin, heavy pronunciation on the T, Latin, or Asian, we don't know anything about black hair care. Black hair care is like black church. It's just still a place of mystery that white people don't go. But so yeah, we don't really know what's done with the top. What's done with the top of the head. But we do know that the back and sides are lined up with a ruler, with a protractor, some kind of tool. But I'm being facetious because no tool like that is used, because a professional barber can make a straight line with the naked eye. And that's what these dudes at Manny's Barbershop do. So I enjoy it. I pay the $20 to get my hair cut. Shave it all around. Line up the sides. They use the hot shaving cream on the back of my neck. At the end, they give me the fucking mirror. They're like, yeah, how's that? I don't even look at it. I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's fine. What am I going to check the back and be like, no, I know better than you. This is fucked up. I don't know, like, I like hearing people speak in there, but first of all, half the time the conversation's in Spanish, and the other half of the time, there's one barber that I go to that just fucking talks to me too much. Like he's like Armenian or something, and you can tell that he doesn't follow sports, but all day he makes conversations with people that do. So he like half-heartedly asks questions about the World Series, the Dodgers, football, and I don't follow sports at all. I don't care if you do, or I don't care if you don't. Whoa, my fucking headphones just went out in one ear. That's weird. That's really weird. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, whoa, now they're buzzing in another one. What are you going to do? I can't breathe out of my nose either. Yeah, so what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, he has sports conversations to appease the client, not to appease himself. Hold on one second. Let me see if I switch this, does this help? Huh? Does that help? Does that help? Does that help? No, it doesn't. You son of a bitch. Is this just my headphones? Or is this the whole fucking thing? Hold on one second. I gotta fix this. All right, I don't really have an explanation for what just happened, but I'm just gonna roll with the punches. Yeah, he makes half-hearted conversations just to appease the client about sports. You get the fucking point. I think I said that more than once. So since I don't follow sports, it ends up being like two dudes having a conversation about sports, and both of us don't care about sports, and we just don't tell the other one that we don't care. And I don't really want to talk to this dude at all, because there's some people you just don't want to talk to, and you can just kind of tell off the bat. You're like, we just shouldn't talk anyway. What else do I got to say, man? It's December. No, it isn't. I think it's still November. Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you guys? You know what I did want to fucking relay to you? The information that I wanted to relay to all listeners of Wax's podcast is Wax's podcast now has a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel that's associated, because Google associates everything. So I have beatsforwax@gmail.com as my Gmail address for the podcast if you want to send in any questions or comments or get a shout out. But the YouTube thing that I guess it's associated, the YouTube channel that's associated with that email address, I went ahead and made it Wax's Podcast official YouTube channel. And episode 50 through episode 158 or 159, whatever one was last week, I can't remember if it was 8 or 9. They're all up there. So what you should do is go subscribe to it. The cool thing about, I've noticed that I listen to, like, when I'm, God, I can't fucking speak today. I'm stuttering. I'm a fucking mess, man. I'm a mess. Now, when I listen to podcasts, or really anything at night, I've developed a habit. It's kind of a shitty habit, I think, where every night when I go to sleep, it's a very single person's habit too, by the way. At night, when I go to sleep, I like to hear some kind of talk radio-ish, podcasty shit in the background. It helps me go to sleep. And when I do that, I usually listen on YouTube. I don't really know why, but a lot of people have requested the podcast be on YouTube. And a lot of people are right. Because I'm one of those people. In my car, I use the podcast app, but when I'm at home, I usually use YouTube to listen to anything. Or Spotify. And you can't put your podcast on Spotify if you're just the average Joe. They like self-pick which ones they want on there. You know goddamn well that they ain't gonna pick my shit. So, I don't really have a, I don't have a nifty fucking, I don't have a nifty YouTube channel name. Like it doesn't, oh wait, hold on, let me see if I sign out here. Like, the channel is like youtube.com/8346_2. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I sign out. Like, if I search for Wax's podcast, what happens on YouTube? Now, keep in mind, I don't know if this search thing is the same on everybody's shit. Wax's podcast. Okay, there's somebody else who's uploaded the first, few. Big Wax Music. Who is not me, by the way. Big Wax Music on YouTube is not me. But I think they have a lot of a lot of my music on there. They have a shitload of my shit on there, but 4,000 subscribers and shit, probably a gazillion views. How many views I got? They got like 1 million views. But I ain't mad at that. They have some old stuff on there that I should have been put on there. So it's actually kind of cool. Whoa, they have some wild shit on here. Interesting. Big Wax Music. I don't know who that is, but they've had their channel for a long time, and they're a friend of Wax. They're not an enemy. So don't be on there like, what the fuck, man? It's cool. Okay, so if you type in Wax's podcast on YouTube, the first 4 or 5 videos. Oh, okay. It actually gives you the channel. The channel is called Wax's Podcast. It currently has 32 subscribers, 109 videos. And that actually, you guys are thinking, like, holy shit, you uploaded all those over the weekend? It's like, it wasn't, because of the way that my podcast thing works, it actually wasn't that difficult to do. There's kind of a thing where, like, if you go through each one, it kind of, like, can set it up automatically. It's not that bad. But there's fucking 100-some podcasts on here, so, like, if you want to fucking listen to them, you can listen to them on here now. So please subscribe. and all that bullshit, especially now that they took me off fucking iTunes. I hate that fucking Steve Jobs is dead. Whoever the person is that followed Steve Jobs over there. Should be Steve No Jobs, Steve Unemployed, if you ask me. iTunes, more like you suck, you know? Huh? Clever pun, wasn't it? Anyway, that was one thing I wanted to announce. Got Wax's podcast up on on YouTube. Now, I'm also working on... I put out a couple projects recently. I put out the Caviar 80s project. I put out the Wax and Herbal Tea and Lack of Afro Back in Business project. Go to Spotify, type in Lack of Afro, and that's the latest thing. Back in Business. An EP with me and my brother. Some fun, all-party fun shit. And now, my next project is the acoustic album, which I've been working on and off since like the beginning of the summer, but it's been mostly off for the last 2 months. And I still have the list of all the people that do the $5 Patreon thing. I didn't even put the last couple podcasts on Patreon because I feel like I didn't deserve to get money for skipping. I feel like I can't, if I skip weeks, I can't put it on Patreon. It's just not right. So fucking stupid. I thought that having the Patreon would make me do the podcast more consistently, and rather I'd had the Patreon and like the way that I generally work, I just forget that I have it. Totally forget about it. And yeah, what the fuck am I talking about? I just totally, my brain just did a restart. Right now my brain has the little apple. You know when you turn on your iPhone, it's just a black screen and the white apple. My brain is doing that right now. It's only getting worse and worse as I continue to talk about how it just shut down and is restarting. I have no idea what the fuck I was just talking about. My brain just totally blacked out. My memory is terrible, by the way. I heard somebody speaking recently about a movie they saw many years ago, and they knew every single detail of it. If I see a movie yesterday, I can't remember what the fuck happened in the movie. I only remember the most basic details. And I think that's from probably not just alcohol abuse. It's probably also just the way people's brains are wired. I don't know. Some people remember different things. Like I'll be listening to Jack FM, and I'll have the song will come on that I haven't heard since 1988, and I'll remember every word to it. I'll be like, why does my brain store this information? How do I remember this fucking shit? So I guess everybody's brain just works differently, because fucking Movie McGee over here probably couldn't do that, could you? Which skill is more useless? Let's have a contest. So, yeah, as far as the album, that's where I was going. The bitch-ass acoustic album. I'm wondering if I should knock out all the shit that I'm working on, finish up all the songs, and put out a 10-song album. Or what I kind of want to do, what I kind of would rather do, and I was going to say, all the $5 people on Patreon, I still have your names on a list, and you will still be on the cover of that goddamn album. All of your names will appear on the cover of that fucking album, no matter when I put it out. And I will put it out, trust me. But I was thinking maybe, especially with the summariness of some of the music on there, I was thinking about maybe just instead of rushing to get it out immediately, instead of doing that, just go ahead and try to make it epic. Make the songs more amazing. Put skits in between that lead from song to song, creating a continuous narrative. Or not. Doesn't have to be a continuous narrative. It could just be funny skits that relate to each song. It could be just more songs. It could be a double album. I don't know. It could be bitch-ass acoustic albums. I don't know. I might go on tour next year. I might go on tour in the spring. My dude who books my tours, he wants me to go on tour. I was like, I'll go on fucking tour. You think I'm scared? Huh? So I might do that. Trying to be more gratitudinal. Grateful is the word I was looking for, but gratitudinal works as well. It's like longitude and latitude. Longitudinal and latitudinal. Well, I'm trying to be more gratitudinal and have a good attitudinal. Be good attitudinally. Trying to be more grateful, man. I receive messages all the time from people who want me to come on tour, from people who tell me that my music helps them, people who tell me my podcast helps them. And I'm trying to be more grateful for what I got, y'all. I'm trying to view the cup as more half full and less half empty. And I think one thing that I should do more often is go on tour. Go out there, talk to people, hang out, shake hands, say thank you. Thank you for this decade I've been able to do this shit. It's been like a decade now that I've been able to do music for a living. I don't know if that's true, but it's coming up on a decade. And I've been working like a fucking crazy person at it for more than 2 decades. So whatever that means, I don't know. I guess the only thing that stops me, the main thing that stops me from wanting to tour is the kind of tour I want to do is not the tour that I get booked on, you know. I'm less interested in doing a high energy rap set for people that are fucking shit-faced at midnight after seeing 7 local acts. I'm less interested in doing that and more interested in doing something earlier for people that have jobs and kids where they can sit down and have a drink, relax, and listen to some music. I'm more interested in that. But I don't know how to do that. From a business perspective, I don't know how to book that. So this is still awesome. It's still tight. What am I saying? I'm not in the mood to do a podcast today, man. It's not there. I'm feeling sick. Feeling a little down. A little downtrodden. Let's go to questions and shoutouts. Can't breathe out of my fucking nose. All right, shoutouts. We got EJP. We got Aaron the violinist. Brandon Nintendo, who says the best Wax song ever is Solidify. That's an old one at this point. Yeah, that's 2008. Working on that joint in 2000. Put out the album in 2008, so I was probably working on it in 2007. The Wax and EOM album, Liquid Courage. If you haven't heard it, go on to Spotify. Tricky thing about doing collaborative projects on Spotify is that it's not under your name necessarily. If you type in Wax, you can't find Wax and Herbal Tea or Wax and EOM or Wax and Dumbfounded or Wax and Lack of Afro, whoever it is. Even on the Lack of Afro page, when you click on Wax, it goes to some other Wax. I'm trying to fix that. And come to find out, a lot of guest appearances that I've done go to some other person named Wax. All right, shout out Mauricio from Puerto Rico. Petey Machete. We got A-Def. Jackie Sweetleaf. Joe from Hertfordshire. Danny from Sheffield. What's up, Danny? I don't know why I said it like that. Jacob B. from Iowa. Dylan from Chattanooga. Tyler W. Jake B. from Houston. My man Ed from Chicago. And we got Dumpster Dude 123, who sent me a video about the origins of cranberry sauce and the Ocean Spray Company. I should have shared that video. Thank you, Dumpster Dude 123. It's a fucking hilarious internet name. Dumpster Dude 123, because that's how fast he's in the dumpsters. Bam, gets in and out. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Can leftover French fries from Burger King. And a used sock. I don't know. So I talked a lot about cranberry sauce on the last episode. By the way, shout out to my friend Liz, who made her own homemade cranberry sauce. The person I was talking about who makes their own cranberry sauce is the exact person whose house I went over to for Thanksgiving, and she made her own cranberry sauce, which is way better than the canned cran. The can cran. But it turns out that the cranberry sauce thing has an interesting history. If you look up cranberry sauce, Ocean Spray, roots on YouTube, you'll find like an 11-minute video about it. And it talks about how The cranberry, the cranberry and the blueberry are the only berries that are actually native to the New World of North and South America. Everything else was brought in. Certain things were native here, such as corn and tomatoes. Surprisingly enough, people don't know this, but Italian food before Columbus, Italian food did not have tomatoes. Tomatoes are native to fucking here. I thought that was weird when I discovered that many years ago. Anyway, ocean spray. What we know of now that makes all the juices, cran apple, cran grape. They were really the people who started the entire cranberry industry here in America. And the cool thing about Ocean Spray is to this day, the company is owned by the farmers. It's like a co-op, like a collective. Right now, like 700 different cranberry farmers actually own the company, which I thought was pretty cool. Although a lot of people in America would lead you to believe that that's not the way to go, and the way to go is trickle-down economics. Give all the money to the rich people, the job creators, and then it will trickle down to the poor, which makes perfect sense, right? Give extra money to people, they'll just give it away. Maybe Santa Claus should, to save his time, he should just go to only the rich kids' house and give them all the toys. And then, of course, they will give them out to the less fortunate and not just keep the toys for themselves. It's got to be the dumbest fucking concept. And it's funny that the people that fall for it are the people that are the lower class. I've been thinking a lot about fucking this kind of shit recently. I was a little tired. I was on my way to Temecula. Temecula, California is where I spent my Thanksgiving. It's like an 1.5-hour drive from where I live to there. About an hour into the drive, I just wanted some coffee. I hadn't had coffee that day. It wasn't like I was going to wreck the car because I was tired. I just wanted a little pick-me-up, and I just like coffee. So I went to the Maps app, and I just typed in coffee. And like 5 things in the 4 or 5 mile radius that my map was on, like 5 coffee locations popped up, and every single one of them was a Starbucks. And I was just thinking, like, in our society, for some reason, socialism, communism, these things are deemed as evil. Because, everybody makes the same amount of money, and what's the point of even trying to get ahead, you know what I'm saying, when let everybody and it's just like, I mean, of course that's true for, like, doctors versus people that work at Starbucks. When we're talking about coffee, if you want to work at a coffee place, like, what's the fucking difference? If every single place where you go to get coffee looks exactly the same, people all wear the same clothes and make the same amount of money, what's the fucking difference? Shit, at least if it was if Starbucks was run by the government, at least the money would go to making bridges and shit, and not just into the pocket of the guy at the top. So I mean, I guess it does trickle down to the fucking Starbucks workers. You could say that about the people that work at Walmart, the people that work at Target, whoever. But if you give the guy who runs Starbucks a bunch of money, he's not going to give everybody at Starbucks a pay raise. He's going to get a bigger fucking private jet. I don't know. I just don't understand why in a societal structure that's pretty much based on the concept of greed, why would it change when you give tax cuts to the rich? I don't understand it. I don't understand how they convince all these poor people of that. Is it because they're dumb? I don't know. Is it because they're dumb? As I eat an almond. Yeah, it's an almond. 'Cause I'm not like those people. I eat almonds. I eat almonds and complain about Starbucks because I want my almond milk latte with a triple shot of cappuccino. I want to get it from an indie coffee shop. I like my coffee shops indie. I don't want them to be signed by labels. I probably shouldn't be eating almonds while I'm trying to talk. Forgot that there's nobody else here that I can pass the mic to while I fucking eat almonds. But anyway, The last thing I'll say about that cranberry sauce video that Dumpster Dude 123 sent me is that although it was 11 minutes about cranberry sauce, it never said anything. It never said anything addressing my conspiracy theory. It never said anything. It was like, all right, Ocean Spray cranberry sauce invented the canned cranberry sauce that is still popular on Thanksgiving. It said that they did that in the early 1900s, like 1920 or something like that. They invented the canned cranberry sauce, and then it just goes, but how are they profit off something that people only eat once a year on this Thanksgiving tradition? It's like, how did it become a tradition? You can't just invent something and it's an immediate tradition that lasts forever. Where's the but what else in that story? It says they invented it, but they could only sell it once a year. It's like, how can you invent something and it's an immediate tradition for everybody? I don't know, Ocean Spray. Maybe communism is evil. What are you not telling us? What are you not fucking telling us? Anyway, let's go to Roland Dar. Roland Dar is our resident fruit expert. We'll see what he has to say. Because if you were there for the last episode, you know that Allison M., the Waxes Podcast resident nutrition, had a little bit of beef, pun intended, with Roland R's fruit diet. She didn't like it very much. Hey, Wax, I'm loving all of this material you've been releasing lately. I think I might have listened to that Caviar EP like a Google times. Every track is great, but I think my favorite track is Temptress Dressed in Gold. The Back in Business EP is also nice. Lack of Afro always has great beats, and I love hearing you and your brother take turns killing the mic. I almost feel like I'm forgetting something. Well, first of all, Roland, thank you for that praise. Oh, yeah, a message to that beef starter Allison M. What's the M even stand for anyway? Meat eater? In all caps. LOL. Nah, I'm joking. To be honest, I wouldn't mind hearing more of Allison's opinions on dieting. I actually don't really consider myself a vegan per se. I just eat a mostly whole food plant-based diet. I like to experiment at times to see what effect foods have on me also. For example, I've been staying away from cheese and other dairy products since around April of this year. Maybe about a month and a half ago, I decided to eat some ice cream for the first time in a while. First, my stomach hurt for maybe 20 minutes. And then the back of my throat started to itch. I forgot about how my throat used to itch a lot back when I ate ice cream all the time, but I never made the correlation between the two. As for dying from not planning out a vegan diet, I think that is true for the most part. People have told me about their vegan friends dying and have warned me of the dangers. Jesus. Dying? My take on that is that I don't know what they ate. Them being vegan only tells me what they didn't eat. Anyone can be a vegan while eating Oreos and French fries, a.k.a. chips, all day. Since Brits call these French fries chips, I wonder what they call potato chips. Anyway, I know a lot of people probably think I jumped on this plant-based diet quickly without doing much research, but I've actually been reading and watching a bunch of material that deals with the topic for the past 6 years or so. I'm actually surprised that What the Health has gotten so much attention. There have been so many other documentaries before that one I've watched, including Eating You Alive, Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 1 and 2, etc. Oftentimes, I notice that there are studies that say a plant-based diet is great for humans. And I also see that there are many studies that show the exact opposite. The difference I see is that most of the time, the studies that put meat and dairy in a good light are funded by the meat or dairy industry. I find that to be a conflict of interest. I think the China study was a good study that lasted around 20 years. T. Colin Campbell, Ph.D., wrote a book about it. I do take a vitamin B12 supplement, even though some people actually don't need it. Most people do because of the damage that we've all done to our guts and the fact that we don't get enough of the bacteria that produces B12, which has nothing to do with meat consumption. Vitamin D, I probably do need more of since I'm not in the sun enough. And the good old protein argument. I believe the USDA recommends 56 grams of protein for men and 46 grams for women. That amount is very easy to achieve as long as one is eating enough calories. In the beginning, it may be difficult to get enough calories from fruits and vegetables when your stomach has been used to such dense caloric foods. The stomach actually has to stretch more to accommodate the same amount of calories from fruits and vegetables, and that takes some time. My smoothie for breakfast is around 2 liters. God damn. 2 liters. That used to be too much for me to handle at first, but now sometimes it's not enough. Dr. Melanie Joy mentions the 3 N's. She says that most of us eat because we feel that it's natural, normal, and necessary. For me personally, I found this way of eating very sustainable and far from strict. I don't eat this way to lose weight or anything like that. I want to be able to live a long life where I can do things physically. By the way, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn has followed a plant-based diet since 1984. He directs the Cardiovascular Prevention and Reversal Program at the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Institute, and I recommend nutritionfacts.org by Dr. Michael Greger. Sorry about the long email. Roland Dar. I don't remember exactly what Allison M. had to say, but I remember she wasn't a fan of what Roland R. was doing. And this is quite a difference. I just read that, and obviously Roland R. I mean, he mentioned several different doctor names, several different names of vitamins and supplements. He at least somewhat knows what the fuck he's talking about, as did Allison M., who is an actual nutritionist. So I just want to say that I'm happy that we have some intelligent beef on the podcast, because as we all know, the rectangle of beef between myself, Mike T, Danny from Sheffield, and Ed from Chicago was anything but. It was anything but. In fact, it was more just but, considering the farts that were involved in Ed from Chicago's diss to Mike T. Mike T worked at a place where he could easily and clearly be replaced by a robot, not even a good robot. He probably could be replaced by something less than a robot. Probably could be replaced by one of those Simon machines from back in the day, where it lit up different colors and you had to remember the pattern. That would probably be a better candidate for the job he had than him, even as a security guard. But my point is, I welcome intelligent arguments and discussion. It's a good balance. It's a good balance. But yeah, I find all that shit interesting. I'm a person that, this is mostly inspired by my boy EOM. I'm a person that switches up my diet a lot. Right now I'm eating meat, but just trying to keep it. I'm just trying to be sensible these days, but I'm not. I've been fucking up. Whatever. Whatever, dude. I don't know what I'm doing. This next one's from Jordan H. What's up, man? How you been? I'm the one who let you know about the Khalifa creamer. Oh, shit. What's up, man? I just got a new email. Anyway, they finally got their shit together, and I have the Khalifa in stock. So hit up your local Ralphs. Tell them to stock that shit. Ha, ha, ha. Well, let me tell you something, Jordan. That the area where my Khalifa Farms almond milk creamer used to be is now occupied by Silk almond milk creamer, a corporate entity. That, and I think Coffee Mate has them too. And they have like 3 times the amount of sugar. You have to put like 1/3 of the amount. So I usually put in a little bit of that, then I add some actual just straight up unsweetened almond milk to it to get the coffee the way I want it. But I miss my old creamer. Anyway, worse things have happened. Way worse things have happened. Like if you put me missing my old style of almond milk creamer and now having to deal with the fact that I have to use 2 things, but it still kind of tastes sort of the same, but it's just like I got to mix it up a little bit. If you put that problem on a scale, it's pretty much right there even with the Holocaust. It's pretty much at the same level as the Holocaust or all mass shootings combined. So there's a scale for these things. Anyway, I was writing just to vent, man. You get a lot of people with relationship issues and problems asking you for advice. I just wanted to help out. Wow. Okay, Good Samaritan. Jordan H., the Good Samaritan here. Back to what he's saying. I'm 23 years old. I have a beautiful daughter who will be 2 at the end of November. Her mom and I have been split for a year and a half. I have fought hard to have my daughter back in my life after false allegations of drug use and abuse. I was kicked out of my home, Living in my car, didn't see my daughter for 2 months. I was on the edge of quitting, but I am finally getting my time with her after a year and a half of fighting. After that relationship, I started dating this girl, and things were going well, and I really liked her until I found out 5 months in she's married. So I got the fuck out of that situation. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here is that life sucks sometimes. You can't control everything, but you just have to keeping on. And you can do anything you set your mind to. I haven't smoked cigarettes or had a drink in 8 months. Well, good for you, Jordan. I've been working out, eating better, feeling better. I've turned my life around from being hopeless, thinking I'll never see my daughter again, to getting my life back on track. So it's never impossible. You just have to work at it. And now I'm seeing this new girl who seems great. She was already a fan of yours, which was an automatic plus. Not so bad at all. Off Scrub Life is our song. Wow. Take care, Wax. Thanks for your time, man. Interesting. What's up, Jordan H? That is a tale of a man, a 23-year-old man who is getting his shit together. God, it's so long ago when I was 23, dude. So fucking long ago that I was 23. I can't imagine having real problems like that. I thought that I had real problems when I was 23. But it's actually like, one thing I took out of this is like, to have a 2-year-old daughter when you're 23 seems like a big, big responsibility, and it seems like way too much to deal with at that young of an age. But at the same time, you said you were like, you go, oh, I've turned my life around from being hopeless, thinking I'll never see my daughter again, to getting my life back on track. So, like, the interesting thing about having a kid is that I think for some of us, I think I would be this way if I had a child. I think it's easier, and I don't mean to sound that's unfair to word it like that. Easier is the wrong way to word it, but I'm saying, like, having something other than yourself, something that's bigger than yourself in your life, can be really important. Whether it's a kid, or whether it's a goal or a dream, or maybe your parent is sick, or somebody that is sick or has a, or fucking your uncle was getting evicted, or if your mom's getting evicted. Remember Happy Gilmore? You know what I mean? He didn't want to play golf. He didn't want to play golf, but he did it so his mom wouldn't get kicked out the house. If it was up to him, he'd just fucking fail at hockey for the rest of his life. There's a lot you can learn in these old Adam Sandler movies. What a great film. But sometimes a cause bigger than yourself, I think the most common one being your child, can actually help you get yourself back on track, because we don't really care about ourselves like that, We'll beat the shit out of ourselves. We'll smoke a million cigarettes while hoping to God that our friends quit. But I'm not telling any of you guys that you should have a kid at 21. But I do think that having something in your life that's bigger than yourself helps. That's what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to have a kid. No, I'm not trying to have a kid. But I'm trying to be grateful and realize that there's things in life that are bigger than yourself. What's going on here? But yeah, thanks for that, Jordan. Thank you so much for that. See? You can do it, guys. You can do it. And I'm talking to you, whoever's listening. Okay, this next email looks like a pretty long email. Let's see. I don't remember what this is. This is from Nick J. Hey, Wax, hope you're doing well. Big fan of your music and listener of the podcast. I'll keep the praise to a minimum. But AO is a song in particular might be my favorite rap song in the last few years. So well done. Well, thank you, man. Anyway, my name is Nick and I have a story to tell. I've been put in an incredible awkward situation and I have your podcast to blame. Haha. Okay, so about a week ago I moved to a new town. A small town in North Carolina. This is entirely new territory for me, but this town has a unique opportunity in my field that I am doubtful I could land anywhere else. So at this point, I had been there for a few days, and there is still about a week before my job starts. I got sick of being cooped up in my new apartment, so I went out to a local restaurant to get some dinner and change the scenery. I'm not the type to dine alone, really, but I needed to get out of the house. Who knows? Maybe I'd meet some new friends or even get to know a local small-town girl. I have a lot of my life to start building up here, and I'm starting from square one. But I'm not the outgoing type, so to entertain myself, if I remained there alone, I had my headphones and could begin listening to your podcast. I got to a near restaurant, and I was unaware before the server brought me further into this place that it was not a casual place. This was a quiet place for romantic dinners, and it was pretty busy. I'm certain, given the size of this town, that there were probably a few coworkers and future clients in the room with their spouses. I was feeling a bit out of place, so I tried to keep a low key, ignore how out of place I was here, and just enjoy the meal. It was the only restaurant for maybe a mile, and I wasn't going home. So I'm trying my best to stay in my own world. I put on your podcast and started getting more and more concentrated on it. I listened to the remaining half hour I had left on the new one, and then decided to go back to a much older podcast to further try and consume myself with another time and place. Pretend it was a few years ago. And right there towards the beginning of episode 79, you start to rant about your mild illness. Just the sniffles, really, but getting more and more ridiculous as you go to describe the severity of your minor flu. Going into what kind of mucus it is, how people should send letters for you to burn for a ritual to heal yourself, what Obama should say about it, and then you pause and let out the line, "Is he going to die?" And it caught me off guard. I don't remember this. That was me saying I don't remember this. Back to what he was saying. This made me let out an unexpected laugh. A quick and audible jolt from my diaphragm that blurted air from my mouth. While this laugh would have been embarrassing enough for me, this was just the spark to a bigger problem, because while I was listening during this portion, I was also holding in a full bowl's worth of gas at the other end of my digestive tract that made me fart. And it was very, all in caps, loud. My flatulence brought the attention of the entire room over to me, quickly enough for many of them to see the initial smirk on my face turn into a deep mix of fear and shame as they stared. The fart went on. Maybe I was nervous, and my attempts to move my butt muscles to avoid further spewing of gas prolonged it. The gas continued leaking and rumbling from the bottom of my rump. The fart stopped, and people continued to look at me. Some tried to be polite and pretend nothing happened, but there was no doubt I farted loudly in a quiet restaurant and for a prolonged period in the middle of the room. The fart is over now, and I'm left sitting like a deer in headlights, alarmed and afraid. No one said anything, though signs of disgust, even from those who were trying their best to be polite, were obvious. This was only made worse by the now impending smell. Fairly soon, a fragrant gas filled the room, and no longer were those lovely patrons' noses filled with the aroma of their gourmet dinners and fine wines, but a mix of these fine wines, gourmet dinners, and a thick, hot gas straight from my Rumposaurus Rex. The entire room, one by one, got up and left. Jesus. It was that bad? They had to. Their dinners were ruined, and I was left sitting there, podcast still cruising along in my ears in a pool of my own rectal perfume, listening to you bitch about CrossFit in my earbuds. Fuck you, Wax. I can never show my face in this unnamed North Carolina town again, and no one will ever take my skills as a reconstructive urologist seriously when the entire county... All right, you're full of shit. Reconstructive urologist. Rumposaurus Rex. Rectal perfume. I know you're fucking pulling my chain. When the entire county knows me not for my pineal surgery expertise, but for that one state-of-the-art rectal explosion at Fancy Dinners R Us. I think you got to the end. Fuck you, Nick J. I think you got to the end. You made me read that whole thing just to get to the end, to let me know that you were fucking with me. I don't even think pineal is the right word. Fucking. And would it be, if you did surgery on a penis, would it be pineal or penal? Well, penal would be like the penal system. Pineal. Oh, I guess you're right. Pineal. Of or relating to the penis. That's the definition of pineal. Of or relating to the penis. Shows what I know. Maybe you are a reconstructive urologist? I just don't believe you, Nick J. I just don't believe any of this is true. But then again, why would you make this up? Then again, maybe this is one of those things where like this sounds like a fishing tale. You know, like where like a fishing tail being like, you had to step 1 foot into the lake while this fish was, you accidentally stuck a foot into the lake while you're catching a average sized fish. And then when you tell it to your friends, you fell into the lake while catching a shark. Like, that's like a fishing tail. I feel like he like barely tooted at Denny's. And all of a sudden he cleared out a restaurant with his Rumposaurus Rex, as he worded it, not me. Fancy dinners are us. I don't know if this is true or not. But, I read it. That happened. The reading of it happened. It's true that I read it. What the fuck is going on here? How far are we into this podcast? 51 minutes? Is that enough? Because that was the last email today. That was the last email. I don't know what's going on today, man. This is one of those things where I try to explain to people when they get mad at me for not doing the podcast. Doing this podcast is not like brushing your teeth. It's not like, I used to work for a landscaping business, and you might have to plant a bunch of trees. You might have to lay brick, lay down pavers, or put together a wall. It's like those things. It's just like when you're there for an hour, you lay down a certain amount of bricks. This thing, like where you have to just talk for an hour, especially the beginning of it, where you talk for a half an hour just by yourself, just talking, rambling. Some days it just fucking comes off and it's the greatest shit ever. I thought that a good podcast was the last podcast I did about the cranberry sauce conspiracy. Sometimes the stories just roll off the tongue. The anecdotes just come in like waves from the ocean. They just wash over the anecdotal sand. Create tide pools. Not tide poles. Pools? Tide pools. Tide pools full of tadpoles. The tadpoles and tide pools that have toad pails. The toads with pails, they go get tadpoles out of the tide pools. And they'd have a bad attitude. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to say that these tide pools full of anecdotes sometimes have more water than them than other times. Sometimes the sun is drying them out. Sometimes it's overcast. Just overcast enough for me to stay on that anecdotal beach and just let her rip. Just fucking let her rip. Just give it a go. Just give it the old college try that it ends up. Sometimes you give it the old college try and you flunk out as a freshman from getting drunk at the frat house. Other times you give it the old college try and you end up graduating from medical school at Harvard. Does Harvard have a medical school? Well, you did so well that you fucking created one. Went to a law school and somehow got a medicinal degree. Yep. That's what happens sometimes. But in other times, you feel a little groggy, feel a little sick. And you say, hey, it's Wednesday, and I owe it to the people that listen to this podcast to get off my fucking ass and try to be better at doing this thing. 5 years! 5 years I've been doing this fucking podcast. I've never improved it. I go up and down as far as how many people listen to it. I don't understand how that works. I don't understand how it goes so far up and down. But it does. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's Trump. Maybe it's that dude in North Korea, huh? Kim Jong-un. Maybe it's him. Maybe he has hatched a conspiratorial plot against Wax's podcast. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's very possible. And you know what else I think is possible? I think it's possible for you. Yes, you that I'm talking to. Take Jordan H's advice. You can do it. You can live out your dreams. You can be the man or woman that you've always been. But you hid it. You hid from yourself. You hid your true self from the self that everybody else wants you to be, didn't you? The self that everybody else wants you to be is held back by their fears, their insecurities. They're goddamn way too high of a limbo stick. You can limbo lower than that. How low can you go? Keep in mind, the limbo is a reverse metaphor. Because the lower the limbo stick goes, the harder it is, which means really you get higher. You know what I mean? The lower the limbo stick, the higher your achievements and accomplishments are. So the metaphor is a little tricky. That's why I explained it in such detail. Anyway, don't let your friends and your family, their low expectations, and their bullshit idea of a goal and dream define you. Listen to Jordan H. These are the kinds of things we talk about on Wax's podcast. These are the kinds of people we listen to. This is the kind of advice that we follow. This is the kind of trail that we march down, just like the people did the Oregon Trail. And I don't give a fuck how many oxen die. I don't give a fuck if your kid, your aunt, and your wife get dysentery. You can make it to Oregon. You'll be in Portland in no time. Eugene or bust. It's the kind of things we talk about here on Wax's podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jordan H., for giving us all what we needed today. Inspiring us to have children at young ages. Thank you, Roland Dar, for telling us that there's a lot of different ways you could eat, but you choose plant-based. Allison M. can choose not plant-based. I don't remember what she said. And finally, last but most certainly not least, thanks to, what was his name? What was that guy's name? Thanks to Nick J. for your fake fishing story about farting at a fancy restaurant. Because these are the kind of things that I do with my life. I was thinking the other day, and this is a good way to end this podcast. Watch a basketball game, man. You watch a basketball game. First 3 quarters, people are just playing. They're not even thinking about the fucking clock. Just dribbling around, wasting time. Sitting on the dock of the fucking free throw line, wasting time. And once it gets that fourth quarter, calling timeout, rolling the ball to the fucking half-court line. Cherishing every precious second of the game, of what's left. That's life, man. And in these first 3 quarters, you know how much time I've spent on this podcast? It's the 160th episode. 159th? I don't remember which one it is. But I spent a lot of time just now reading Nick J's podcast. I'll never get that letter. I'll never get that back. When I'm 70, if I make it that long, and I'm counting down the precious seconds, I would look at the... once I got to the part where he said Rumposaurus Rex, I would say, I'm not fucking reading any more of this because I only have so much time left to live. Time out. Roll the ball to the middle of the fucking court, pick it up, and buy a ticket to fucking Greece because I'm going on vacation. I want to start living my life more like it's always the fourth quarter. Because the clock just goes down. It's just like a game. Not like soccer where the clock counts up. I'm talking about down to 0. When you put something in the microwave for 1 minute, then you look at the seconds, 59, 58, 57, 56. That's your life. In the background, there's constantly a fucking timer counting down to 0. And for the first 3 quarters, you disregard it. I'm trying to stop doing that, man. That's the kind of advice we give here on Wax's podcast. And you know what? I'm about to make it to a motherfucking hour. What did I say, 51? You can make it! You keep on keeping on. Oregon Trail, fuck that. I'm talking about going to Mars. I'm talking about the guys who walked on the moon. Little guy named Neil Armstrong. Ever heard of him? Buzz Aldrin. The other guy that was with him. Because I think there was 3. That guy really got gypped. The other guy that was with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, he's like the bass player or the drummer in the band U2. Of course, you know Bono. Probably know The Edge. And then there's like the bass player. You might know him from just seeing him around. Because he can go anywhere without being recognized. He's the bass player for one of the biggest bands of all time. Don't know his name. Don't recognize him. That's the other guy from fucking the moon venture. The Apollo 13? Was that right? Anyway. All right, y'all. Be safe out there.